Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today I'm going to be showing you guys this weird item build that AOI goes on like every single support hero. So I'm sure you guys play a lot of pubs and you like insta-die support, or you have some like Glimmer Cape but you have 900 HP, and then the carry Wraith King walks up to you with a Deso and one-shots you. Well, this build you're going to see from AOI prevents that, makes you incredibly mobile, survivable, and you buff your right clickers extremely hard. And if you think this is some niche game that I picked out to make clickbait content, you know, I do that a lot, but no, that's not what this is. So on Dota 2 Pro Tracker, let me show you guys. Look at these items. You think I'm kidding? Okay, he's playing CM, Drums Medallion Solar Crest. He's playing Weaver, Solar Crest Spirit Vessel. Okay, you know, Weaver kind of buys those items, but you get the point. Drums, Force Staff, Solar Crest, Drums, Solar Crest, Drums, Solar Crest, Soul Ring Drums, that's on Disruptor. Soul Ring Drums. And obviously he likes to play CM, clearly he thinks this hero's pretty good, but he does the exact same thing on Disruptor. He even did it on Skywrath Mage and Weaver. He does this on everybody. He clearly thinks there's something broken behind it, and my man is extremely high MMR. So let's try to figure it out and see how he survives with this item build. By the way guys, if you want to become absolutely broken, well, what you need to do is sign up to the GameLeap website down below right now. The reason why you should do that is because every single day we post a new video there. Content that you simply just will never get on YouTube, we post every single day to the website. It's really top tier stuff. I'm very proud of what I make over there. We also have other creators, many of my great friends who are top tier Dota players, creating guides about different heroes, different roles, different items, skill builds, talent builds, everything you need to know to get to the next rank. So if you feel a little bit lost, you're a little bit stuck, click the link down below. I'll see you guys there. And now let's get into the video. Alright, now in terms of the laning stage, honestly nothing changes, so I don't want to focus on it too much. The main gist is your typical CM. He's already used 2 mangoes and 2 clarities and his entire mana pool by the 3-minute mark. On top of that, he's shipped out another clarity and another 2 mangoes, which puts him up to 3 clarities, 4 mangoes, and an empty mana pool at the 3-minute mark. If you are playing a hero like CM or Disruptor, and you have full mana or close to it at the 3-minute mark, and you haven't bought this many mangoes or clarities, you are griefing. You suck. You're awful. Because the reality is, if you do spam this much regen, if you do nuke and auto-attack your opponents basically as much as possible, weird stuff like this happens, where the enemy Earth Spirit walks up and dies to a couple skeletons and a couple autos. And it goes as far where even this Pango gets completely driven out of the lane. With another nuke, the Pango basically has to walk back to base. Just kidding, he dies. Alright, the next part, getting into this gameplay that I freaking love, is his kind of like willingness to just play the dead lane. Now, of course, it depends on the game. If we look at the maps, you know, how the map's being played out, the DP isn't really looking to take top tower. The Nyx is, you know, waiting for his level 6. The Ember's just staticking mid, Wraith King's farming jungle. So nothing's really happening. And whenever this happens, it's very important as a support, especially a hero like CM that can scale pretty well with items and scales incredibly well with levels, to do this, right? Where you're just kind of shoving this lane. And now this is going to put a lot of pressure on this bottom tower. He also had some Wraith King skeletons helping out, but it's going to put a lot of pressure on this bottom tower. It's going to get him to a level 6 timing, I mean at 830, and of course a lot of items. But the funniest part comes right here. King Ao TP's in. This is a high MMR player. Just dies to a nuke. What the? And now he's basically level 7. He's going to be level 7 at minute 10 with no tome, and that is value. All right, that is freaking value. And this mainly comes out of the fact that his early laning stage was so good. CM Wraith King is a nasty lane if you buy enough mana regen on CM. Otherwise, it's not that good. But this is, okay, upcoming here is my favorite part about his gameplay. Regardless of the fact that he stays bottom, which is something I like to do anytime I'm playing support, if I have the luxury of staying bottom and just shoving it in the whole game, I like to do that. But look at his current items. We are 10 minutes in. He's playing Crystal Maiden. He has an Ocean Heart, Wand, Soul Ring, and Raindrops. With the Raindrops and the Wand charges, he's going to have effectively up to 1500, maybe even 1700 HP in a team fight, depending on how many charges of Wand he gets off and how many times Raindrop procs. He also has a Fairy Fire and potentially Ocean Heart regen. This is how I love playing support. The reason why is if you do this, you're going to see his impact in these mid-game fights. It's hard to see, but let's get into it. All right, this first team fight is a perfect example. Like literally, I didn't have to spend any time trying to find a good fight to show off why this build is so valuable. And it's not surprising because it's consistently valuable. You're just a tanky support with high impact nukes in the early game. You're gonna win the early game, which is what you're supposed to do as a support. Yes, you can scale into the mid-late game depending on what hero you're playing. But for a hero like CM, I never understand why people like rush large mid-game items when your timing is like level 8, 9, 10. Like that's when you're generally strongest, you know? So it just doesn't line up with when the hero's good. But look at this team fight. Okay, his team griefs, Nyx overextends, Ember wildly overextends. But look at this. He nukes, he ultis, you're like, there's no way this works, right? There's no way this works, right? It works. The puck gets caught right at the edge. I don't know why puck orbed that way. I guess it was out of panic. He probably thought he could kill the CM, frankly. But now, he lives that, okay? Keeps ulting, and you're like, oh, he's gonna die. But he has bonus 20 armor from his ult. And almost the entire enemy gets dropped to like 1 HP. If he got his next Q off, that's basically a triple kill. Basically a triple kill. And right, you have to imagine as well, this is the highest level of Dota. These are players with pretty freaking good synergy, and they barely could take him down. That's the power of this build, and because of it, the Ember, even though he buys back, which isn't so great, is able to clean up a couple of key kills and bring himself back into this game. And look at what his next item is, Belt of Strength. Right? No, he's not buying Assange, he's buying Drums, which personally I think is one of the most underrated items in the game. I actually think it's, I've been saying to my friends, I think this item's busted. I think Drums is wildly underpurchased. And so, you know, it kind of just makes me happy to see AOI buying it. And let's get into why it's good. Now, before we watch him try to like 1v9 again, I please guys, the biggest thing you can do wrong after watching this video is thinking that the clip I just showed you is an accurate representation of how every fight goes. CM ulti sucks. Okay, let's be clear. The reason why it worked in that other fight was because they committed the majority of their disables onto the Ember to kill him, and so he could ulti. Okay, does that make sense? Otherwise, you cannot do that. You don't frontline. The purpose of this build is to basically get gone on like 3rd or 4th and then live the jump. It's not to frontline. Please don't frontline. The only time frontlining, quote unquote, is good is if they dive a tower and feed because of it, as a support that is. Otherwise, it's not good. Look at this fight. See how he's playing the edge? He is not frontlining. Okay, after a bunch of spells have been committed, he tries to deward a hill, right? Which is very reasonable. Spells are committed, you want to gain control of the area of the map. Very nice gameplay, very reasonable gameplay. Don't do it otherwise. All right, let's take a look at the next team fight and go over why I'm such a big fan of Drums. It seems kind of counterintuitive because it's not like, oh, you attack on CM. The attack speed does nothing for CM, but it doesn't matter. You use it for your teammates. A big thing to understand though is it also just gives a passive 20 movement speed to allies in like one of the biggest radiuses. Like look at the radius. You see the green line? That's the radius. 20 movement speed is very significant, guys. If you think it's not, you just don't understand how Dota works. Imagine you just gave every hero a 20 movement speed buff. Like, or like a bunch of heroes a 20 movement speed buff. Like, that'd be a massive freaking buff. It's huge. Because even if it only takes like 0.5 or a second longer to get from point A to point B, that could be the difference between getting jumped or getting the jump. Or like getting your stun off fast enough for someone to react. For instance, even this Wraith King here, right? Like, no, he wasn't in, was he in Drums Aura? I don't know. The point is like, Dota is a game of inches, okay? You know, I don't have a lot of inches in real life, but I know that inches matter a lot in Dota. And so this Wraith King, I think he was in Drums Aura there, and he barely gets off the stun onto the Pango. No, it doesn't end up killing him, but you get the point. It's like, it's a very value item, and when he pops Drums Aura, even though he already is inherently tanky, movement speed doubles down on tankiness, because people have to close the gap to kill you. They have to, like, get to you. And that time is HP. That time, like, let's say your team has like a total of 7,000 HP. If your team is like 13% faster, which is what I think Drums Aura is, yeah, 13% faster, I would say it gives your team like, this is obviously general and depends, but another 2k HP because of the amount of time it's gonna take for the enemy team to close the gap. I really do view it that way, and I actually think it's like that. So when he pops Drums, which you'll see here, it puts his movement speed up. Unfortunately, it's a bit bugged, so it already says, okay, there it is. He's 365. Popping Drums gives him 50 movement speed. 50! And that's on top of the 20 he's already giving. Like, that is why I find this item to be, like, kind of broken. Like, this DP, she's standing next to CM already. She would have, I think, 370 without him, or something like that. Clicks Phase Boots, and then gets Drums. And he was up to 500 at some point, because his Phase Boots runs out. But if he was Phase Boots Drummed, he goes up to 500. With just Phase Boots, he's like 450, and with Drums, he's 463, if that makes sense. So, like, you just pump everyone to max movement speed. And in this fight, man, he does such a good job of disrupting this Puck. Puck is a hero that usually feeds on CMs, but, like, he has 1600 HP, he doesn't have to fear Puck whatsoever, just completely zones this guy out with ulti, doesn't kill him, but, you know, Puck's just out of the fight now. and he just keeps going because he has so much stats, so much mana. Grim casts a bunch of spells on him. Like, that's the value, you know what I mean? Like, that's a value set of damage taking. It's not gonna kill him, but like, Grim can't walk past him because he's just gonna get Frostbite and Crystal Nova to half HP. But he just ignores all this. His team's zooming, pops drums again to try to close the gap on the puck. I just love it. And talking about value damage taking, this might be the best example I can show you guys before the game comes to a relatively abrupt end in a short period of time. But look at this. All right, he gets caught. He's just backing up his Wraith King. His Wraith King got caught out of position. Earth Spirit rolls in. He tanks the roll. So now the Wraith King, I think Wraith King dies anyway, unfortunately, but obviously you understand why he would tank the roll. Tanks the roll, gets gone on, tanks a Witchblade, Coil, Puck Spells, Pango Nuke. He's just fine. You know, like he's fine. Now he gets off his ulti because of it, an ulti he definitely would not have gotten off otherwise. That does like 500 damage to Pango. It does, I think, like 300 damage to Puck, and then Puck had to go in as a result. Did they kill the Puck as well? I think they don't. Unfortunately, the Puck is. Oh, no. They do. Puck dies because of his HP. Like, that's the thing. It's so hard to see this stuff unless you really, like, dive into it. Hopefully you guys see, like, the value in a video and a build like this, because it's insane. And this doesn't have to, like, I don't want you guys to think like, oh, if I buy these items, I'm just as good as AOI. His positioning and map movement and like ability to optimize this HP is also just as important. So you gotta be able to do both. All right, we're gonna end the video here because, man, this team fight, I mean, I keep saying every team fight looks so good, but it's like, dude, every next team fight is like even better. Look at this. Okay, he has 14 armor because of the Solar Crest. He runs up this hill, which is so psychotic because he knows the enemy team is like potentially here. There's like a decent chance because they weren't in their triangle. They're not top, they're not mid. It's like, okay, they probably bottom, you know? And he just walks up, gets jumped, gets silenced, and it's like, oh, he's just dead. But he pops his wand. Fortunately, that roll misses. That lets him get off Frostbite. Because of that, the PA can attack. He didn't die. Now she daggers. That doesn't kill him. So she BKBs to try to finish him off because she had to BKB anyway. But now she BKBs and commits her W onto a target she can't even burst, the Ember Spirit. She goes in, I mean, to be fair, they kind of clump up anyway, but like she couldn't burst anyone. And if you play PA, you know if you commit your BKB and can't get a kill off of it, your fight is generally screwed. You're just not going to do enough most of the time. And that's exactly what happens. So it's just, oh man, like, yes, this team is ahead, but they're ahead largely because of him, and there's no doubting that. All right, and that's going to be all for today's video. They end up winning this game in 32 minutes. Just for a bit of perspective, I think it's pretty cool for me to pull up the damage he took in this game, just the raw damage received. If you look at it, he's playing CM. He received 22,000 damage. And you might be thinking to yourself like, oh, that's the least in the game. The thing is, you have to think about what hero he is, right? You have to think a lot about the hero that he's playing. You also have to look at the fact that the damage he received was 40% reduced, right? Because this is the raw damage he received. And then it was reduced significantly. The physical damage was reduced by 50%, which is huge on a CM, right? On a support, reducing damage by 50%. If we look at the Grim, he reduced physical damage by half, guys, half. And this team was getting run over, so of course they're gonna take more damage. They're getting stomped, you know what I mean? Like, this is a support in a winning game. How often do supports soak damage in winning games? Usually not very much, right? Usually not very much. He soaked it and reduced it. And like, it's just crazy. Nonetheless, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and Drums is broken. Peace. And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.